Hey everybody, this is Cliff with Hamilton Transportation. I just arrived down here at the Port of Baltimore. It is 9:15 this morning, but there is a huge line of trucks in front of me. So I don't know what's going on. There must be a problem with the system or something, because there's a big line. So unfortunately, it's just going to take a little longer. But I'm going to go get checked in, and hopefully, we can get loaded up here in a decent amount of time. Alright guys, we are in H2. So Hotel 2. Have to go down there and find it, and then we'll get her loaded up. So apparently the port is so busy today because they had Friday off, so the port was closed. Apparently for something called Defenders Day. I had never heard of it, but I guess it commemorates the victory of the War of 1812, which happened at Fort McHenry here in Baltimore. So I don't know. Yeah, so they had Friday off. So then everybody that would have come in on Friday came in on Monday instead. So I think I'm gonna do what these guys are doing. I'll just go down through here and go over beside that that silver truck over there, because mine's in H row, which is this row. So I figured I'd give you guys a little POV of loading this Cat 325 up. I usually just line up the tracks with the boards so you can see that if you look on the trailer, Oops. You can see that the second board in, I'm just on that board with about, I don't know, 2 inches or so in between the edge of the first board and the track. And you can kind of see it, same thing over here. So if you line those up, that'll get you perfectly straight and centered on the trailer. We just got to get our boom set in here, so I'll have to go forward a little bit. It looks centered, and there we go. We're loaded up. Now we'll shut this thing down, and we can go get it loaded up and chain, or we are loaded up, go get it chained down. guys, we are all loaded up down here at the Port of Baltimore. Got this Cat 325 on the trailer. So we're ready to head north up out of Maryland through Pennsylvania and then across Ohio. This is going to Perrysburg, Ohio, which is just south of Toledo. So it'll be the same route as we did in that other Cat 325 that went out to Girard, but it's a bit further west, and we are not allowed on the, well, permits are too expensive for the turnpike in Pennsylvania, and in Ohio we are not allowed on the turnpike, not even permitted over 10 feet wide. So that means we have to run so we'll take 80 into Ohio, but then we have to we have to switch on to 76, head west through Akron, and then we'll hit 77 for just a minute, and then I think it's down to 250, or maybe it's 224. Oh, my bad, it's 76 all the way over to 224, and then we run that around Lodi, and then we hit 250 up towards Norwalk, and then we hit 20 and take that all the way up, and I think there's actually a detour up where 23 meets 75, so I think we have to go north out there on 420. I believe we had to do that the last time. 420 to 280, and then we hit 795 at Moline, or just east of Moline, and then we take that over back over to 75, and we can run 75 down to Perrysburg. So I don't know how far we'll get today. We'll run until the sunlight quits. Yeah, we'll figure it out as we go, but for now let's go ahead and get off the port and get this load closer to being delivered.
The sun falls and the moon didn't see. She had hazel eyes and faded blue jeans. That fire burned all night long. And when I opened my eyes, all the stars were gone. Drive on to that
Hey guys. We have made it all the way up here on 80 Brookville rest area. That's where we're at right now. So going pretty good so far. Had a little bit of construction on 80. Slowed us down a little bit. Had a lane closed. Other than that, haven't had a problem. So we've booked a hotel in Seville, Ohio, which is on the other side of Akron. So right before 76 meets 71 South. So our permitted route in Ohio for this load, I thought we were going to be able to take 224 and then 20 up. But it turns out they're doing construction on 20 now, and it's restricted to 10 feet wide. So instead of taking that, we're going to have to jump on 71 South and take that down to 30 West. And then run 30 West over around Upper Sandusky and hit 75 North and take that into the bottom side of Toledo to get to Perrysburg. So that added some miles. Not a whole lot. So we're still making a pretty decent rate on this run. But we haven't been able to find anything else so far. So we've been watching the board all day. We've called on a few things. But the couple that we called on that would have worked, they wanted them picked up today. And we're not going to be able to get to anything until probably lunchtime tomorrow, depending on how far it is from Perrysburg. But we still have the morning tomorrow. It's about 4:30 now, so people are wrapping it up for the day. Haven't seen anything new posted in a little while. So hopefully something posts and we'll be able to get a load. I mean, I'm sure we'll get something. So I want to talk to you guys. I did that little trucker thoughts from the road, and I got a couple questions about pack lease, about leasing a truck. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit as we roll across 80 here. So anybody who's not in trucking, there are different kinds of leasing in trucking. So I am an owner-operator, meaning that I own my truck. I lease my truck. I own my trailer, and I have my own authority. So I run a business called Hamilton Transportation, and we have an operating license to operate in all 50 states in the United States hauling freight. That's called operating authority in trucking lingo. So just like any other business, you have to get a license in order to operate. Trucking's the same way. It's just called an operating authority. When you get your operating authority, you get a motor carrier number and a DOT number, Department of Transportation number. So if you have your own authority, then you are allowed to book freight for yourself and haul it under your authority, your name, your company. There's a thing called leasing on to a company. So this applies to, you can still be an owner-operator, meaning you own your truck. You can own your truck and your trailer, but you don't have a DOT number or operating authority. So if that's your situation, you can lease your truck to a carrier that has operating authority, that has a DOT number, and then you run under their authority. So you're basically putting your equipment and your services to work for a company with a DOT number. So I could lease a truck to my company and use their truck to run freight under my authority. So that's the first type of leasing. Doesn't apply here. That's not what I do with my truck. There's also something called lease to own. A lot of big fleets do this, and they have guys that want to be an owner operator, but they don't have the capital to go buy a truck. So they will put them into what's called a lease purchase program. And it could be a good situation for some people, but I have heard a whole lot of horror stories about lease purchase programs with big fleets. So it's pretty much a way of the company putting all of the expenses onto the driver. If you're a company driver, you don't pay for anything. The company pays for fuel, the company pays for insurance, the company repairs the trucks, the company pays for insurance, all of that. If you do a lease purchase, then technically you're an owner operator, but you have a contract to buy the truck, so it becomes your truck, but you're paying the company for it, and it's the same company that you're working for. So it's sort of a conflict of interest, because it's in the company's interest to make as much money off of you and your truck as possible, and that means they don't want to pay anything towards that truck. So like I said, I've heard a bunch of horror stories about it. Quick Google search, I'm sure you can find some. So that's called lease purchasing. That's not what I'm doing. My lease is called a full service lease. So the lease part of it is just like leasing a car. So you can buy a car outright, or you could do, a 3-year lease, which means you put some money down, and then you have a payment every month. And you get to use that car for that 3 years, and usually there's some mileage restrictions, and then you turn the car back in when your lease is up, and you can lease another car. That's pretty much what I'm doing with this truck. So I have a monthly payment, and so it's broken into 2 parts. So I have the lease of the truck. So this truck is under a 4-year lease with pack lease. So I have a payment every month, and I pay that payment for 4 years. And when my lease is up, I turn the truck back in. I don't have to worry about selling it. I don't have to worry about, anything. Other than if I turn it in with damage, I'll probably be responsible for the damage. I have done this before with the previous truck. I had a 3-year lease on a T680. I ran it for 3 years and turned it in, and that was it. I just gave him the keys, and I was done with it. The other part of the lease is a full service maintenance and repair program. So I have the lease payment, and then I have, which also comes with mileage restrictions, and you can structure that. So I lease this truck from my local Kenworth dealer. So he buys the truck through the pack lease program, and then he leases it to me. So you can structure your lease. That's an agreement that I have with my local Kenworth dealer, and they'll do certain things and they won't do certain things. So because this is a heavier truck, I anticipated running less miles. So I am structured to do around 90,000 miles per year, and I have a 10% grace above or below that 90,000 miles, and they're flexible about that too. I'm not speaking for all pack lease facilities, but the one that I work through has been great with me. So anyway, you can structure that for as many miles as you want to run a year, and then the payment is based off of that. So the other part of my payment is the service. So I pay a mileage fee based on how many miles I run for the maintenance and repairs of the truck. Now it's all one check every month, but the full service part of the lease includes oil changes,
filters, anything you can think of maintenance related, brakes. It even includes tires for wear. You know, if I get a bolt in a tire and it damages the tire and it can't be fixed, that's on me, because that's an emergency, or not an emergency. It's a it happened out on the road while I was operating the truck, so they don't cover that. But they do cover tires due to wear. My last truck, you got to put steer tires on it at about, it was 150,000, right around there. And I just took it. They actually have a McCarthy tire right up the road that they use. You take it in there and they slap the tires on it, and that was it. And then same thing for drive tires. When the drive tires wear out, just put tires on it. And I don't have to pay a dime for that. That's all included in my payment. So in that service, it also includes repairs on the truck. So this truck, knock on, I'll pretend that's wood. Knock on wood, I haven't had any issues at all with. I had a hub, the steering axle hub, the little black plug that goes in there. There was some oil getting past it, so they replaced it. But that is literally the only issue I've had with this truck in 83,000 miles. It's been great. They do preventive maintenance on it every 25,000 miles, so I just take it to the shop. They put it in, do the oil change, grease it, and I get it back, and that's it. The last truck I had a few issues with it. That had a PACCAR engine in it, and I don't know if it was because it didn't have the Davco fuel filter, like a big pre-filter on it. But that thing had trouble with injectors. It was also a COVID truck, so it was built during COVID. And I know supply chain issues, some of the parts weren't as good as they usually are. But they ended up replacing all the injectors in that truck. And then I also had and numerous fuel filters, because it would show up fuel restriction. So you take it into the shop and they throw a fuel filter, but no cost to me. And then I also had an exhaust manifold that needed replaced. It was not sealing to the head. It was warped. So took it in, and to give you an idea, at least with my pack lease facility, I took that in on I believe it was a Thursday afternoon, and they had the truck back to me that Monday. Monday morning, I picked it up with a brand new exhaust manifold on it, ready to go. And that's the same way maintenance is. Good thing about pack lease is if you have a pack lease truck, then when you take your truck in for maintenance or for a repair, you are next in line. So you go ahead of all the other trucks there at the shop. And say what you want about that. You may not think it's fair, but that was a big selling point to me. Because in my experience, what costs you the most money owning a truck is not the repair cost itself. I had an ECM go out in my last truck that I owned, and the ECM itself was like $1,000, which, it's pricey, but I can't swap out an ECM because it has to be, you have to program it and everything, and I don't have the software or the cables or any of that. So I had to take it to a shop, and actually that one was shall I say, the exhaust wasn't stock on that one, let's say that. So I had to take it to the shop that did the tune on it. And because they're a good shop, they were out like 2 weeks before they could get to my truck. They just had people in front of me. So then not only are you spending $1,000 on an ECM to get it replaced, you're paying a tow bill to tow your truck to the shop, and you're out of work for 2 weeks because your truck is sitting there waiting to go into the shop because they don't have a spot for it. So in my experience, owning a used truck or even a new truck, that wait time is what gets you, because like with my truck, I generally gross anywhere between $5,500 and $800 or $8,500 a week. So 2 weeks down could be as much as $17,000 of income that I've lost for that 2 weeks. And you're still responsible for insurance. You're still responsible for truck payments and all of that. So the fact that they can get your truck in front of the line, that was a big selling point for me. So that's my breakdown of pack lease. So it's basically like leasing a car, but it also includes maintenance and repairs on top of that, and it is pricey. My payments, they're a little higher because this is a heavy haul truck, so it's spec heavier. It has a 46,000 pound rear. It has a big Cummins 565 horse engine, which is expensive. But the payments you pay are based on the price of the truck new. Now I know that the dealers get a little bit better deal, but they have to make their money off the deal too. If they're not going to make money off of it, they won't do it. So I understand that. So my payment for this truck is about $4,000 a month. But it also means that I don't have any downtime with this truck, and I don't have a shop to take it to that I own, that I can pull it in and do oil changes and all that. So if I'm changing the oil, I'm doing it in the driveway of my house, laying in the dirt and doing maintenance on it. If I have to grease the truck, it means I got to crawl under the truck, front to back, and hit every greaser. Whereas with this lease, I spend my weekends at home, and if it needs maintenance, I drop it off, and that's all I have to do. I'm not wrenching on the weekends. One of the things I hated about owning an older truck was that I would spend my week driving, getting my 2,000 or 2,500 miles in, and then I get home on Friday, and Saturday I have to get up and go over and fix something on the truck, or spend all weekend on it, or 3 days on it if it's a bigger repair. This way, I spend my weekends at home, other than if I have to work on the trailer. I got to grease the trailer, or I got to replace a tire or something. But I don't have to worry about the truck. And trailers are much less complicated than trucks. So anyway, that's my breakdown on pack lease. If you guys have any questions about that, just put it in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer it for you if I can. So I'm going to continue running my way across 80 here. Unfortunately, once I get to Ohio, I'm going to have to back it down to 55. I'll be doing 55. So anyway, that's the plan for the rest of the day. I'm going to get over to Seville, and I will talk to you guys later.
Just arrived here in Seville, Ohio at the Quality Inn. Pretty good day. We got, I think, 540 miles done today. So that's Carlisle down to Baltimore, and then working our way up through Pennsylvania and across 80 into Ohio and all the way over to Seville, which can be a slow route because of all the hills, but we did pretty good today. From here, I think we have 148 miles to go. Just hit 71 just east of here, or I'm sorry, west of here. And then we'll take that down to 30, run that over and up. I think we have to hit another road, but it's up 15, I think, up to 75, and then 75 right up to Perrysburg to get this thing delivered. So that'll be probably 2.5, 3 hours in the morning. We'll get over there. We still didn't find a load for tomorrow, just not much on the board. So hopefully something will post in the morning, and we'll keep this week rolling along. For tonight, I am gonna go get checked in, and I will catch you guys on the flip side. Morning, everybody. We are almost at sunrise, so I'm gonna call it good and get moving. So let's get to work today and get some miles done and get this excavator delivered. Alright, we have arrived here at Ohio Cat in Perrysburg, Ohio. So I am going to go talk to somebody because I've never been at this one, see what they want me to do, and we will get this thing unloaded. So there's another cat delivered, another load done. From here, there's really not much moving on the board today. So we took a short load coming out of Columbus, just going a couple hundred miles. Keep us busy today, not a great rate, but gives us something to do, and maybe tomorrow something else will pop up and we'll be able to make some good money on that one. So for now, I'm gonna head out, go to the next load. I appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate all the subscriptions, all the likes. From Perrysburg, Ohio, this is Cliff with Hambleton Transportation. I will see you guys out there on the road.
I'd like to talk some more, but I can't right now. Now I'm packing my bags, headed out of big old trees scratch the moon. Drive on, my old friend, till you hear that sound, it's calling you. The sun falls and the moon rises, good times with no goodbyes. We've been high, way down low, feel the fire blinded by the smoke. The one I'm talking about, you didn't see. She had hazel eyes and faded blue jeans. That fire burned all night long. And when I opened my eyes, all the stars were gone. Drive on to that road end, where those big old trees